Hi everybody, Sarah Appleyard here with some more tips on how to style up your SharePoint sites. Today we're going to look at updating your SharePoint theme colours. Now, matching your SharePoint colours with your company branding or the colours you want to use to brand your particular site used to be tricky to the point that we generally recommend picking a default theme from Microsoft that was closest to your brand colours. For one, it was technically challenging to change up the colours. It used to start with a trip to something called the Fluent UI website, which is Microsoft's open source design platform and component library. From here, you could add your bespoke colours, but then you'd have to export a new theme, copy the PowerShell that generated this code for the theme, and then get your global admin to add the new theme. And then it might not look right once you've done all that. The other thing that's tricky is selecting the right colour combinations for getting the best design and accessibility results while still tying into your brand colours. So I wanted to tell you about a new site branding capability that's now built into SharePoint and makes things a lot easier. It looks like the Fluent website. It's just a bit more help down the left-hand side, perhaps. So the main colours you're going to be working with are basically the primary, the text, and the background colour. So have your brand text colours on hand to cut and paste into the different options. And you can see there's a sample on the right-hand side of what your combinations will look like. My top tips here are to pick the lightest and the darkest colours in your brand palette for the primary and the background. If you use the darkest colour as a background, use a light text colour, ideally FFF, which is all white. This will give you the strongest contrast. If you're using a light colour for your background, use black or very dark text. The key thing here is to get the strongest contrast. And as I said, you've got the accessibility checker on the right, and you'll get warnings if any of your combinations won't work. If you're using a dark colour as your background, click on this box to ensure you get the correct combinations for users working in dark mode. Some people like working in dark mode. I've noticed that the younger people in our office like using it, but also it's supposed to be easier on the eye, especially at night, and it could be good for people with light sensitivity or with visual impairments. There's also the accent colour. Now, this is rarely used in SharePoint, so getting excited about adding one of your key brand colours to the accent colour, well, it's barely going to make an impact, but you need to set it up anyway. Once you're happy with your colour choice, click Next and give your theme a name. And then this theme becomes available to apply using the Change the Look option that you're probably used to already. Simples. Now, a couple of downsides. One is if you don't like your choices, you can't simply go back and edit up your new colorway. You've got to start afresh. So if you're like me, you're probably going to end up with lots of failed attempts, in which case I recommend you actually go back and having a clean up. The other thing you can't change is the topmost navigation color. Well, it's a lot easier than it was to do this, but you might be a bit disappointed in the lack of colorways that you can actually inject. So I hope you found that useful. I'll be doing more videos on SharePoint look and feel later. Catch you soon.